lot of people ask how to keep a beautiful lawn or beautiful landscaping, and I always tell them it honestly starts with the soil. All right, and I like to explain just how important soil is by telling you a story, and it's a true story. If you go back 10, 20,000 years ago to this very piece of ground that I'm kneeling on right here, there would have been a lot of different diversity in species, or maybe 50, 60, 100 different species on this very property right here. And they would have been working in harmony, all kind of working together. Some would have been providing different nutrients, maybe nitrogen. Some would have been naturally aerating the property, but they all kind of worked together, almost in that survival of the fittest mentality, meaning that whatever lived here and thrived here grew here. But they worked together, and it was in harmony. And then we came in as humans, and we say we want a monoculture. What is that? We want one thing. I want just Bermuda. I want just zoysia, just St. Augustine. And so we created a monoculture. What happened is the soil became unbalanced. What happens is that I always tell people, what if I told you that if you see weeds, they're not necessarily a bad thing. And before you fire me on, hey, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about when it comes to lawn care, weeds are actually kind of a way of Mother Nature's cry for help. So when you see maybe clover, something like that, that's really crying for nitrogen. There's certain things when you see weeds, like again, it's Mother Nature's way of saying, I need something. And so how to stop that is by simply balancing your soil. We have actually spent time with two different scientists. I hired two different scientists and also a soil producer to make this exact soil. We've spent hours and hours on developing this soil. We're the only company, Purple Care is the only company where you can get this exact soil. And this is the most thing I am proud of. I'm very proud of this soil because I watch it work. We put this on lawns and your lawn will explode. And all I'm doing, it's not that we're fancy or magical or more intelligent than anyone other landscape company out there. But what we are doing is simply adding nutrients and adding organic matter. So remember I told you earlier that we've got a monoculture, which actually creates an imbalanced soil. That's part of the problem. So what if I told you that our soil actually does have a lot of nutrients? It's just that the plants, the turf, whether it be grass or whether it be the plants in your landscaping, they don't have access to that because there's little organic matter or the soil's not balanced. So when we add organic matter, good, rich, dark soil filled with nutrients that's balanced for North Texas, right for this Fort Worth area. This is made specifically for this area. If we put that down, now your soil actually is more balanced and it now has access to the existing nutrients in the soil. So like I said, there's nutrients in our soil. A lot of people say our soil here in Texas is terrible. In a way, they're right, but also there is nutrients there. It's just that the plants don't have access to them. We come in and add organic matter. There's things that I love the words that are involved in soil: nematodes, bacteria, fungi. These are all great words that are in your soil. I know bacteria and fungi don't sound very good if it maybe is in your body. That's not always good, but we also know there's good bacteria in our stomach, right? There's also good fungal situations. The soil is one of them. If you have good bacteria, good fungi, it breaks things down. What really makes soil good is that nutrient cycle. You have to make sure there's a nutrient cycle in the soil. It has to break things down. What we do is we put about a ½ inch of this soil, a ½ inch to a ½ inch of this soil on top of your existing turf. And you're going to see a couple of things happen. One, you're going to see that lawn in about 2 to 4 weeks explode. It will be a deeper, thicker green than you've ever seen it. It will thicken up in density. And over time, believe it or not, you're actually going to see less weeds, not immediate. So this is not a weed killer. It doesn't kill weeds, but because you're, again, if you remember the early part of the story, if your soil is more balanced, it's going to be less of a cry for weeds. And I like that because as much as we need a certain amount of weed control, if I can lessen the amount of weed control I put down on your lawn or in your plants, that's actually really good for Mother Nature. We all know that weed control is kind of a necessary evil. It's not awful or bad, but if I can use less of it and get you the same beautiful results, I think that's a good thing, and that's really what we're striving for here. I get asked, is there anything in your industry that's a silver bullet? And I always tell them I really don't. Nothing's magical. This is an ebb and flow. Did we get enough water that year? Did we not get enough water? What type of soil there's a lot of ebb and flow. There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to landscaping and lawn care both. It's not just, hey, I put down a product and it works carte blanche. And so when we come back to this is as close to a silver bullet that I can get to. When I put this down on a yard, I can honestly say this has worked every time. Does that mean that you will take a yard with 3 pieces of grass and immediately have grass over it? No, but I will tell you, every single time I put down this turf, or put down this soil, excuse me, this has improved the yard. So if you've got an okay yard, this will make it a great yard. If you've got a great yard, it's going to make it even better. But if you've got a yard that's very thin and wispy, it's going to thicken it up tremendously. Again, if you've got a yard with a piece of grass here, piece of grass there, it's going to improve it, but now you're asking too much of it. And I still put this soil down. We actually put this down below every one of our, every time we sod a yard. So when we put down turf, when we put down Bermuda grass, we put down pallets of sod, we always prep that lawn with this exact soil. In fact, we won't do it. So a lot of people say, Justin, I notice you guys are maybe a little more expensive when it comes to installing sod than the guy down the street. You can find anybody to quickly lay sod for a very low cost. This isn't what I believe in, because I know that sod is going to require a lot more fertilizer. It's going to require a lot more weed control. It also is going to weaken. It's going to turn different colors. It's going to have that chlorotic look and look yellow. So what we do is we believe in doing it right. And what I do is I add premium soil below every piece of sod that we put down, and that's why our sod takes, and it looks gorgeous, and it stays gorgeous. It looks good for years and years and years. This is not a one and done situation. If my clients would listen to me correctly, I would tell you to top dress your yard yearly every year. You can add it 1/4 inches at a time, at least every other year. When you put in organic matter, top dress your yard's gonna look phenomenal. And I cannot influence you enough to do that. That is the one, and if I had to pick a silver bullet, this is it, is by top dressing your yard. So if your yard's not working great, if it looks a little thin, or you just want to have it a deeper green, then top dress your yard. The last thing I'll say about this soil is we also use it in all of our landscaping. And what I mean by that is we usually go into a landscaping project and we try to excavate a lot of the existing flower bed and get rid of that soil, because the soil was probably there by the builder, or maybe just wasn't very much added. We want to come in and we want to put a good 6, maybe even 12 inches if the client lets us of our own soil, because we know if we do that, the plants will thrive. They're going to they're going to bloom more often. Why are you putting in the plants is what I always ask my clients. Right, to enhance your property, to go out, to want to be outside and just live in the nature. Well, if you want all those things, which I think most people do, then you're going to want to look beautiful. So don't go on the cheap and get a cheap landscape install. Pay the price to get it done correctly by somebody who knows what they're doing, who's going to excavate the soil, put in a proper amount of soil, and make sure those plants thrive. If you're going to spend all the money on plants and design, then spend just a little bit extra on the soil, which is where everything starts and ends.